What's up, guys, and welcome to the Galakras Fire Mage Guide. In this guide I'm going to go over everything you need to know for normal, heroic, any difficulty on this fight as a fire mage, and what talents and glyphs you should be taking, and any little tips and tricks on DPS that will help maximize your gameplay on this fight. First things first, going down our talents. Again, Temporal Shield is going to be where it's at for this fight, because there's really not a fight where there's unpredictable damage, where there's a huge damage spike coming out. The only phase where there's consistent damage is the final phase, and again, having that heal over time effect with the damage reduction of Temporal Shield makes it extremely useful in this fight. So I would recommend going with Temporal Shield. You don't really need anything else in this list. There's just nothing else that's really going to benefit you more than Temporal Shield is, especially because there's so little raid damage coming out until the final phase, and even in that final phase, especially in normal mode, you do not need Ice Barrier. On heroic mode, as long as your stacks are under control and your group's doing the proper strategy, you'll be fine. So let's get right into glyphs. Glyphs for this fight. Nether Tempest, sorry. Nether Tempest is going to be your bomb of choice. You want to make sure you're Nether Tempesting everything. Nether Tempest hits like a truck, and with so many adds up at a time, it's just really nice to be able to have those dots ticking on everybody and really upping that damage and really helping melt those adds away as quick as possible. I'll get more into the DPS side of it in a minute. First, let's cover glyphs. For glyphs, obviously we want Glyph of Combustion. We always do. And the other glyphs that we want for Galakras are going to be Inferno Blast. We really want Inferno Blast because we want to be spreading those dots to as many targets as we can. And then some people will either use Cone of Cold, some people will use Double Blink, and some people will use Armors. It's really irrelevant however you want to do it. There's not a specific third glyph that's really going to benefit you a lot. Again, most of the time in this fight there is not enough adds to warrant Cone of Cold. You can use it on cooldown again when all the adds are grouped up, but again, your main goal is to cleave off of a main target, especially when like Tidal Shamans are up later in the fight. Cleaving off of that target is key, so doing just straight AoE really isn't necessarily a DPS. You know what I mean? It's kind of a scumbag thing to do, so I guess you could take it if you really, really want to, but you won't see a ton of DPS as opposed to actually target switching and putting Nether Tempest on everything. You will gain much more damage out of doing it that way. So those are kind of your three glyphs. Again, Inferno Blast and Combustion are necessary. The other one is really your choice. If we get into actual gameplay, again, as the fight opens up, the pull timer can be a little weird, especially with the RP, so make sure that you're aware of your timers and how everything's working. A lot of times you will miss your double pot on this, and that's okay. It's not, again, the first set of adds aren't really a crucial thing as much as the end boss DPS on Galakras is. So on normal and heroic mode, the biggest thing is obviously you open up, you get your combustion out, you're spreading it to as many targets you can. Once combustion's up, you're Nether Tempesting every single target. And then this is where the fun part comes in, guys. Remember, if you have your 4-piece, Inferno Blast guarantees that your Pyro Blast is going to crit. So making sure that you're Pyroblasting and putting that critical mass debuff on as many adds as you can is a monster damage increase, okay? So you want to be Nether Tempesting, and any extra Pyros that you get while you're on your cleave, you just quick switch targets, throw a Pyro at them, make sure the dot's up, come back to your main target. And do the same thing, rinse and repeat over and over, because you want that critical mass debuff ticking on them, you want that ignite damage ticking on them, and you want your dot ticking on them. So make sure that you've got your Nether Tempest up, then you're Pyroblasting into them. But remember that Inferno Blast makes it a guaranteed crit, so making proper use of Inferno Blast during this fight, especially if you have your 4-piece, is really, really huge. Also, making sure that when you're spreading dots, if you can get as many stacks of Potent Flames, which is your 2-piece up, and then putting those Nether Tempests up, you're going to see a lot of damage come out of those. So that's another tip for, when you start to get pretty geared. That's going to be a tip that's going to really push your DPS over the limit. Remember that your cape, if you have your heroic cape, is also going to be doing a ton of damage in this fight, so keep that in mind as well. That really you're just kind of picking your target and then cleaving off of your main target. Okay, you go through all your adds. There's really not anything else to say besides you're just pretty much Inferno Blasting as many debuffs as you can onto other targets, making sure your Nether Tempest is always rolling on as many targets as possible while cleaving down your main target. And then it's pretty much rinse and repeat. If you are in a tower group, again, this is where Double Blink can sometimes come into play. but you really don't need to waste that much time. If you stand really close to the boss, you can pretty much just run through him, and you don't have to worry about him knocking you back or smashing you in the face with arrows, depending on what tower you're on. So if you are up in the tower group, again, Nether Tempest every single ad, and then burn into the lieutenants, or whoever the main guys are that are up there. That is the number one thing, is to get those guys down as quick as possible, and then it's just AoE your face off till all the ads are down, come back down, and rinse and repeat on the other tower. Once Galakras does come down, okay, if you're doing heroic mode or normal mode, depending on how many groups you're split into, in heroic typically it's 2, normal typically it's 1 big group. Keep an eye on your stacks. If you do get chosen with Fireball, make sure you're standing behind the raid, and then you're popping your temporal shield or your ice barrier or whatever you took. Again, you should be taking temporal shield, but it's up to you, I understand, if you want to play it safe. Other than that, you're just tunneling back into the boss. This is the phase where most groups will pop their lust or heroism, so making sure that you've got your potion, your potion ready for that, with your lust, your combustion. Try to figure out when you can time that out as best you can, and just start pummeling damage into the boss as hard as you can. Again, this phase is all about killing the boss before too many people get too high a stacks, and the healing becomes overwhelming. So this is where you really want to pump out that single target deeps. And then it's really rinse and repeat, guys. This fight is extremely similar on every single level. There's not a lot of raid damage on any single level coming out until that final phase. You can easily just maximize your numbers with, again, make sure that you're Nether Tempesting, make sure you're keeping that Ignite buff up on as many targets as possible, and you're going to see some insane damage come out of Mage on this fight. Hope you guys like this one, and as always, see you in the next one.